Welcome back, my gardening friends. Well, it's May Day and I've been rather busy. Hope you'll see some improvements. And we're on plot 1, hashtag starting a new allotment, and we've managed to get all the raspberry runners out now. He says, I do tell some fibs. I've got all the raspberry runners out now. But these have had a dosing of comfrey, right, and the other ends it's been completely saturated, because I've had 1 or 2 people say that by using comfrey it can make the strawberries taste differently, but we'll see. So these are the autumn ones, the raspberries that is. And these are autumn raspberries, but I've left them tall and proud. They're still getting the fruits on, so will they come early? We're not getting as many new shoots as the other areas, but as I say, just a little experiment. And these on the end, we didn't get fruit last year, so with a bit of luck there'll be summer fruit in. We should say these strawberries are really doing well, and we'll do a taste test later on in the year. These are black berries. They did well in the fruit cage, but I didn't do so well last year. And on some nice supports. We're not restricted to the height of black currants here, but we are with the fruit trees. So we'll see how we get on. And looks like some of them are already starting to flower up. Nice fresh shoots there. Do you think I'll have enough strawberries, guys? Again, I've left another one there just to see if they do fruit any quicker, because if that's the case, then I might just cut half down so we get a crop in the autumn or midsummer and a crop earlier on, but we'll see. Oh dear. I've now removed all the raspberry runners. Rhubarb, well, what more can I say? Help yourselves. Lots and lots of seed heads this time, more than last year. But just keep snapping them off. We'll move along this side, and looks like we've got 1 or 2 of these set in now. I haven't had to use this yet to water the fruit trees. We've had quite a bit of rain, and we've forecast more midweek, so I'm not going to do any watering. But this, I've done this pipe. This is what professionals do, so that the water goes down the bottom, the roots follow it. Else if you water on the top like I did last year in the hot summer, all the roots come to the surface. And then somebody said, what about creatures falling down? Put something over the top. Job done. I'll give the plum tree a once over when everything establishes itself. Allotments overwintering potato challenge. It's broken surface. These are the purple ones that I found on this allotment, hashtag starting a new allotment. There's 2 years worth of videos there for you to watch in my playlist. There are the Marfonias, and there's the hashtag potato grown in a pot of turds. Mine is horse muck, but click the hashtag and it'll take you to all the videos that people have made on that. I've used my compost, just started to fill that, ready to accept the giant potato. And the leeks, this one's got 3 good ones, that's got 1. So again, we'll see what happens. These will find new homes as soon as I get a bit more tidied up. We're due more rain, the tanks are full, so I've diverted the pipe across. I save all my potatoes, and I think some of those are the ones that we found on this allotment also. The bees. I've now found the comfrey flowers, they'll enjoy those. I've reclaimed all this area now. All the compost has gone. I'm telling you fibs, guys. That's the mixed compost ready for the potato, and that's my remaining leaf mould. There's half a barrel there. That barrel's now empty. 2 lots of fish poo ready to go. If you've been watching the videos, I've soaked that again with urine and fish poo. Must keep the leaves nice and wet. Again, these galvanised tanks under the shed there, they've got lots of hibernaculaums under there. Again, you'll see that in the hashtag starting a new allotment, a great series of videos for you to watch. And I've diverted that water into there. This is my trommel, if you've never seen this before. Apologies to my regular viewers, but my subscriber levels are going up, and I just want to make sure everybody understands what I'm all about. And there's a petrol mower, and that's the drive mechanism. The comfrey and the nettle plant foods ready to do the my magic mix. These are the ingredients for my wormery. Oats, wet coffee grounds, volcanic rock dust. Come on, it's been a long weekend, guys. Chainsaw shavings, the chainsaw, log ashes and the tea leaves. And now I've got all this wormery compost bin runoff all sorted. It's had all the ingredients added, and I'll just give that a little fork over. And I've repaired the damage that the rat did when I trapped him inside, because I have to leave it open in the summer because it gets a bit warm in there for the worms, and then they all end up falling onto there. This plastic mesh is working well, so all the juices flow out there into that container. Again, when the lid's down, collect the rainwater. Greenhouse as well, we collect all the rainwater. That's how I do it there, guys. Still got a little bit of comfrey left. All the tubs now are full for the sunflowers, for the tomatoes. The potatoes are doing really well. If I get time, I need to do another reveal on the New Year's Day potatoes. And some of the sunflowers. And the grapevine is romping ahead now. This has all been I've trimmed back all the dead wood. I always leave it till it starts growing. And the pomegranate there has had a trim as well. I'll catch up with the comments and videos as soon as I can. Water feature was put outside somebody's house. I've made good use of that. I'll run the water when I can, and the batteries are charged up with my solar panel on the other allotment. That is the Chesterton Windmill, just the other side Warwick, or south of Warwick. And that's the collection point for the greenhouse. And I've just tidied up the asparagus. I know you can pick it for about 6 weeks, but I may not. Look at that grass in the middle of the screen. It's a weed. Didn't do very well there. Just just while I'm thinking about it, these are the different liquids that I use: manure, runoff, compost bin runoff, which is now the wormery, nettle plant food, banana concentrate, that's in that barrel, in the old dustbin, just banana skins, no added water, comfrey pipe concentrate, comfrey plant food, wormery, which is now been abandoned, and then coffee grounds, they're steeped in water. That's the old wormery. I've got to get the last of the worm castings out there. I'll make sure I fill all the nooks and crannies. A bird did start nesting there a couple of years ago, but it's far too busy. You disturb them. Not sure, again, I'm not sure what to do with this rhubarb. I've got far too much. So that's definitely a gooseberry, another gooseberry, and another one. That's definitely a gooseberry because that one's got some fruit on it. This is the rhubarb that I forced. I said before I wouldn't force it again, and I don't think I will. It's absolutely killed it off. For what you get out of it, it isn't worth it. Now, I'm not sure what these are. They could be currants, looking at the stems. That'll be really interesting if I get a white currant out of it. This has got some flowers on. I won't let it fruit, and I'll remove any extra growth. And these are apple tree cuttings. As you can see, it's budding. I want to be able to graft those onto my other trees. These are plum. There's 3 out of the 4 going at the moment. Again, I need to be able to graft that onto another plum tree. That could be a currant. And that's the plum tree, as far as I'm aware, that must have grew from a seed on that allotment. These have had my liquid plant food rejuvenated, just topped up with some spent compost that I find on the side of the road that cannabis growers dump. It's my strawberry tower with a built-in wormery, and this compost bin's full to the top with spent compost. I scatter it all around the allotment, and I've watered them again. What I do, all the water that comes out of there, whatever colour it is, it goes back in at the top and just recycle it. When it rains, of course, it overflows, so I've just got to be on the ball with that. This is one of the manure runoff bins. It's the newest one, and Bob LT said you could get water into that container, so I've put that flap on there, and we're getting a bit of juice in there. But this is quite it's well rotted manure, but you can see it's an IBC, half an IBC, with a similar setup to the wormery bin that I showed you in one of the last videos. But that'll settle down and I'll top it up. So these are getting quite established now, on the second year, so they should do well. The dahlias have popped up in 4 places, I think, so hopefully we won't get no more frosts. And these are my giant Swedes. They don't need any fertile ground to grow, and they won't get any food at all. They'll just be left to fend for themselves, and hopefully I'll get a decent one for the giant vegetable show at Malvern. When I showed this the other day, Southpaw Davies said these will swell up really quick, and you weren't wrong, Dave. That's probably 24-48 hours on, and you can see the massive difference there. I'm looking forward to getting a few cherries this time, and I must get it netted. And that's the seating area that I will normally sit at when we finish the video, overlooking the water feature. So moving on from plot 1, I've done a little bit of tidying, and we'll take a stroll up to plot 3. So I've had plot 3 now for quite a while, and I never videoed this until my first video and when it was complete. But I showed you how I built the fruit cage. This is the netting. Now the netting is pond netting. It doesn't seem to affect the birds. They don't seem to get stuck at all, and they can't normally get in. But again, new boards this time, all stapled up. But I do need to get this on, and then all the surplus I can use to protect the cherries and some of the strawberries. I am seriously thinking about lifting these slabs up, turning them on their edge so I can wood chip all this. I'll give the black currants a good soaking because they've got a bit of green fly. There's loads and loads of ladybirds about, so hopefully they'll get on top of them before it ruins them. Normally it catches the red currants first, but not this time. And I've noticed one or two people saying they've got this, but I haven't actually seen any bugs underneath. But if anybody knows what that is, I can't see anything on there, but I have been taking the leaves off, and if anybody can help, much appreciated. I removed all the hair nets because the ladybirds couldn't get into me kale, because they've got green fly as well. Looking a little bit sorry for themselves, but the peacock white, they haven't touched that, so that's going to be a variety to either sow again this year, just in case the kale that normally does really well for me doesn't take. We'll have a little look in here today. As you can see, the wind's played havoc with this structure as well. Oh dear me. And these are the giant cabbages. I haven't been in here for a while, so I'll just have a little look at them while we're here. Again, I've done manure on one side, similar to the 6X, and some granular fertiliser on the other. And these are some of the cabbages that hopefully will be ready before these get too big for this cage. I wish. Some of next door's strawberries have come through. We'll have those, and a nice little dumping ground here that you don't normally see. All the bean supports are in now. My seeds have chitted, they've been potted on into the cardboard rolls. French beans this side, long beans this. No damage on the peas at the moment. The outside onions, well, I can't wish for better really. They're looking really well. Some of these I'm not sure of the varieties because I had some give me. I'm sure they're Pete's onions, they're doing so much better. These are the garlic. I hope these are okay. I'll need help with this, please. When do we harvest it? I'm sure it's got to die back, and I'll be saving most of the cloves if we enjoy it. My litter picker, that's costs from £1 shop, dollar store, whatever you want to call them, wherever you are, and it's still working well. If I can see. Okay, while the compost's nice and loose, but the no dig beds should be the same, so if I can't reach them I can pluck them out with that. And as you can see, the brassica cage also took a battering and it's leaning right over. These are the Swedes that I'm going to let go to seed. I was just going to leave one, but somebody commented just keep a few, so yes, I have. I'll take all the advice you can give me, guys. And I've took the last 4 Swedes from here. 50% had started going rotten. Giant vegetables, I've noticed today that that carrot, and the best one that I thought, is looking a bit sad, but I'm chuffed to bits with that giant Swede. Well, I am for now. Jerusalem artichokes okay, onions that are going to seed, carrot box outside. I've only planted 2 seeds per station. The collars will stay on these out here and they'll be raised just in case they go green, well, to stop them going green, and the bottle tops will come off as soon as they've germinated and they can fend for themselves. Lots of new wood chips here, and these bottles shouldn't blow away now because somebody told me to put that plastic on top to help. And they've had 2 seeds per station and they're Gladiator F1. That's been rejuvenated with my liquid plant foods for the trailing tomatoes. Now last year we had dustbins here, took up too much room and I couldn't move the damn things. So as a comparison, added potato feed against my homemade compost mix. If you do look back at my first ever video, this is my first compost bins. I've done a little bit, they've lined now, thicker lining. This is the manure runoff bin for the wet manure, the really fresh stuff, that really green stuff that's all the juices run out. And again, it all comes out into there. Kelly was asking where do I store all my spent potato compost. It goes into this bin, Kelly. I'll put Kelly's channel down. I don't want to. I think no, I'm not even going to mention it because I can't remember what the channel name is. And this is some more of the spent compost. This isn't as good as the rest. But it goes in with the potatoes and it breaks down. Nice. It's got those rough bits in, but that's good stuff. It's free. Just have to have the bottle to go and pick it up. My long roots are suffering with the cold as well, so I'm not much hope for those either, but again, another learning curve. And I collect all the rainwater off the polytunnel in this guttering. More repairs. That's the one I put on this year, so silicon hasn't held very well, but it has been rather windy and the polytunnel's still in one piece. Little wildlife area, nice ramp. I did end up with a hedgehog in there at one stage. I rescued it and took it home, but always make sure you've got a good ramp. I'm going to take a few leaves off this. Planted this up the other day, yesterday. They should pick up, and all the rushing around, I forgot to plant those, but they're thin enough just to be able to take the odd leaf. Yay! First time I've been able to get spring onions going, direct sowing into the ground, so pleased with that. Struggling with the onions inside. Cucumbers damping off. Sunflowers looking absolutely brilliant, as is the transplanted carrot in a bottle. It isn't a challenge, but if you want to have a go and join in the fun. If the onions fail, then there's more room for the peppers and chilies, and the tomatoes are just looking a little bit better. I've redone those stations. When I redone them, I damaged the carrots, didn't I? So I had to put fresh in. What have I said about patience? Pleased with these. Not sure how they'll do inside the polytunnel. These are done a different way to the outside ones. These are cored out and filled. The other ones outside are just sowed into the compost. Another one of the giant beetroots. Radishes, got to be close now, I'm not going to touch it yet. That onion looks a lot better. Cucumbers gone. These are still hanging on. Hopefully now I'll be able to get them planted, and I've got to rejuvenate the compost here, and I'll get all my tomatoes and cucumbers planted behind these barrels. I can see Go on, my first radish of the year. Soil and all, and the root. Lovely. Now I've taken that extra racking down, I've got room in here, and I think it'll be a lot better. All the bubble wraps come off the roof because it had just started to go brittle, and it was blowing all over the allotment. So you just got to time it right so that you take it down beforehand. But this stops the condensation on the roof during the winter. Always well worth doing. I'm going to be using some of these blocks, well all of them, to sit the scaffold planks on. I've had a good think about what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to stick up with a 500mm path there. Then we're going to 1100mm, that's 1.1 meters for the first bed, which will run along there. That's why we've put the brassicas down the middle, so that we can continue them. Another path of 500, which is where the peas are, because they'll be gone, eaten. And again, another 1.1. It was going to be 1.2, but I've decided to do it that way, and I will be able to get some of these bits in before the end of the season, hopefully. And go on, it's my first broad bean. Let's have a look at it. You know what I'm going to do, don't you? Yeah. That radish and broad beans, very satisfying. This is the solar panel that gives me all my power throughout the allotment, and a bird's eye view of plot 3, and a quick look at plot 1. Happy gardening to you all. Till next time, my friends. Ta-ra for now.